Yesterday, Ms. Warbelow, speaking of disinformation, Jim Jordan called a 10-year-old rape victim a liar. A 10-year-old rape victim was called a liar by the ranking member of this committee. And I know that he did that because he hates the president. It's clear every day from his statements and the statements from MAGA Republicans that they don't like Joe Biden, so they're going to call him a liar. That's fine. But what is worse is the reason that he did it is because he doesn't like what that rape victim represents, which is that this law from the Supreme Court, Dobbs, and the laws that will follow in states like Ohio and Texas and Georgia and other states will bring us government-mandated pregnancies for 10-year-olds, fourth graders, little girls. And to deflect from that, they choose to bully and beat up transgender individuals who represent fewer than 1% of Americans. And they try and deflect that because they don't want anyone in America to realize that they don't just want to wage a war on women, they're now expanding it to a war on little girls.
This is Eric Swalwell absolutely ripping into Jim Jordan, who committed one of the most indefensible acts of his time in office. And that is suggesting that a 10-year-old rape victim who had to travel from Kentucky to Indiana for an abortion was a liar. He took to Twitter to quote tweet an article from hack right-wing outlet The Washington Examiner, which, like a number of other hack right-wing outlets, was pushing the narrative that there was no evidence that this 10-year-old even existed. Jim Jordan, who is the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Republican side, quote tweeted and said, "Another lie. Anyone surprised? Only minor issue, it wasn't a lie at all. The story was duly corroborated and proven true." But hey, this wouldn't be the first time that Jim Jordan looked the other way after a young person had been sexually assaulted. In reality, Republicans like Jim Jordan are desperate to try and will this story out of existence by whatever means possible. Why? Because it is the horrific yet predictable manifestation of their own policy choices. Everyone warned that Republican laws banning abortion, even in cases of rape or incest, would result in rape victims being forced to have their rapist babies and little kids who were molested by family members giving birth to their own brothers and sisters. And yet Republicans decided to cast this off as liberal hysterics. And it took only days for exactly that scenario to come to fruition. A 10-year-old child who'd been raped would have to give birth to that rapist child, if not for the ability, for now, to be able to travel to another state. And I'm sorry, but this is hands down the most Christo-fascist bullshit imaginable. And let's be clear, if Republicans continue to get their way, you won't even be able to travel between states for reproductive health care. Only days ago, 205 Republicans in the House voted against a bill protecting patients' rights to travel for abortion services. Only 3 Republicans voted in favor of letting Americans travel to other states in America for health care. We're talking about being able to travel freely within this country. What do they want to do? Set up checkpoints where cops check if there are any pregnant women in the car? Force you to take a pregnancy test on the side of the road? Is that fascist enough yet, or should I keep going? Maybe a government official follows your gestational progress? Maybe a tracking device? And to think, these are the people who fall over themselves crowing about freedom. Give me an absolute break. And just to go back to the erroneous story denial being perpetuated by people like Jim Jordan, the fact is that these people who deny the legitimacy of this very real story know full well that if and when their position is ultimately proven false, the fact check or the correction won't actually ever reach their supporters. Notice how Jim Jordan simply deleted his tweet but never actually corrected it. And it's not like they'll get the corrected version on Newsmax or OAN or Fox. They know that the right-wing media ecosystem is closed loop. And so even when there is a correction, it never actually makes it to the people who watch those outlets. So all of those people who are fed straight up lies about that story are going to go the rest of their lives thinking that it was just some fake news cooked up by the liberal media. They don't care that people are being lied to, they only care that their narrative is being perpetuated. And if that means lying, well, just ask Jim Jordan if that bothers him. So good on Eric Swalwell for calling Jim Jordan out, even though he will continue to lie, continue to obfuscate the facts, and worst of all, continue to push for policies that strip the very humanity from the people that they're supposed to be representing. At this point, the more people who know what a radical, far-right, extremist party the GOP has become, the better. Because they'll clearly try to bury it, but people are finally finding out exactly who they are. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And to support my work beyond that, check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I cover the week's most important stories and interview the biggest players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, and so many more. The link is also right here on this screen. And finally, to take action yourself and sign petitions on the most important issues, go to briantylercohen.com/petition.